Another day with you all. I have received a question from Jaychandar of Bengaluru. He writes, Namaste Guruji, you had mentioned in your previous video the benefits of being conscious on our judgment with respect to various actions we take in life. What, according to you, is the best way to increase the level of our consciousness? Could you please suggest certain activities we could undertake on a regular basis to increase our consciousness? Thank you so much for taking the time out to answer the questions of your followers. I always say to my disciples, don't ask very difficult questions, or don't ask questions which is not in my syllabus. A very nice question. Yes, we keep on saying that be conscious, be conscious, be conscious. What we have to do to be conscious? As a normal human, what is it you have to do to be conscious? Or is there any method, any practice? Day to day, can we practice something which will increase our consciousness? Yeah, Jaychandar is right in asking that question. Very intelligent guy. Yes. How will you increase your consciousness levels? Day in and day out, we have so many problems. We keep thinking about all those things. We use mind in various ways. And the mind is sometimes very calm, poised, quiet. But sometimes it is very agitated, sometimes it is very cunning. Sometimes we like to escape out of a situation. It plays all tricks. Monkey is the mind. So is there any practice to be conscious? Is there something which can calm the mind? One thing that is always available for us is the natural light from Surya Bhagavan. Very rarely one gets up to see the rising sun. Those days they had the practice of doing Sandhya Vandanam. Even today many people do. But may not be exactly at that time, and they do something. So if we cannot do all those practices, but can we see the rising sun? The rising sun in the morning is supposed to give clarity of mind, clarity of thought. If you can see the rising sun, there is nothing like that. It gives you a lot of strength of mind. Generally itself, sun is the Lord for good health. Sun has many aspects. One is he is the Lord of good health. Arogyam Pradadatu no dinakaraha. Dinakaran, they say. Dinakaran means every day he comes. Daily he visits. So can you have a focused look at the rising sun for some time, as long as you can manage to retain those rays? That is supposed to give you a lot of clarity of thoughts. Rising sun is more for progression in life. You call it material life, you call it spiritual life, whatever it is, to progress. Before you reach the contentment, you need some progress. Before you say everything, this is enough. To reach that stage, one has to progress naturally. Whether it is material life or spiritual life, one has to go ahead with the progress. Once contentment comes, progress stops. Anything, whether it is materialism, spirituality, whatever, it stops because contentment has come. Of course, sometimes people get something like contentment. That is not contentment. Something they are frustrated in life, they say, enough of this. That is not contentment. They are not able to achieve something and they surrender. That is not contentment. In fact, at a later date, it will once again start. Once you reach the final contentment, you never start. So the rising sun is considered to be good. You can look at it. After you see the rising sun, drinking cold water, 2 glasses of cold water in empty stomach. Before you take any beverage, if you have the habit of taking any beverage, before taking that coffee, tea or Horlicks, Bournvita, whatever it is, or any cereals mix, anything, Ame cereal mix, anything you take in the morning, before you take that, if you could take 2 glasses of cold water, it clears the system. There is a lot of unwanted things in the system. It gets cleared. Water is a good neutralizing medium. Water even neutralizes some feelings, some thoughts, some emotions. It has got a very good effect on the body. You should not take anything for about half an hour or so. And after that, you can take whatever you want. That also aids for clarity of thought and consciousness. To become one conscious, very conscious. The mind should help and it should not be an interference. Mind has to be positive and it has to help. The positivity of the mind is very important for consciousness of thought. If mind is not going to be positive and if it is going to be negative, it will not aid any consciousness. It will be more into something else, depression and negative thoughts, negative vibes, jealousy, greed. All these things come because of negativity in mind. That does not help the consciousness of thought. Then, half an hour you can recite some mantra to put the mind in place. Of course, there are many types of reciting mantra. Some say it is Vachanik, Kayankik and Manasik. Vachanik, you openly express it. Kayankik is just lip movement. Manasik is totally internal. It may not be possible for many of us to follow the Kayankik or Manasik. So Vachanik is very good because as you recite the mantra aloud, you hear it back and your mind listens to that and your mind doesn't allow anything else to peep in. So half an hour of recitation of any mantra, Om Namo Bhagavate Rudraya, Om Namo Bhagavate Mahanrasamaya, any mantra, Sudarshana mantra, any mantra known to you, about half an hour you can have. Wearing light colored dresses during daytime, and after sunset one has to wear the dark colored dresses. They say even this has an effect on the consciousness, the environment what you create, the where you sit for business. It should not be a gloomy environment. It has to be a well-lit environment. Once upon a time, long back, I had to visit a managing director's office. He had called me, just come and see. I went there. There were a lot of problems going on in the company. So he wanted me to come there and give him some advice. When I entered the cabin, I found some crotons with the thorns kept at the back. Then I told him, you are not taking decisions. Your crotons are taking decisions. Anything thorny, you keep. You want to keep some flowery things, you can always keep, but you can avoid thorns. Thorns always carry an akshara called Dura. It will not allow you to take proper decisions consciously. So in your cabin or in your work environment, you should keep things that are more helping you to take positive decisions, to remain conscious. You may say, what has all these things to do with consciousness? The environment has got something to do with consciousness. The environment in which you stay, the environment in which you take decisions has got something to do with consciousness. What comes to your mind at any point of time, a quick thought, which is more positive, which helps you in your business or in your personal life, does depend on the environment. So what sort of an environment you are placed? And how well this environment is maintained in respect of the 5 elements of nature. How balanced is the 5 elements of nature in your environment? Has an effect on your thoughts, has an effect on your consciousness. How are you maintaining it? Are you maintaining it with balance? Are you maintaining it in such a way it has to be maintained? Whether it is all perfectly placed, whether the bench is perfectly placed. I am not talking on Vastu, I am talking on something else, which only great saints know about it. Yeah, where you place how you are facing the door, as it opens, where you sit, all these things also matters, very much matters. How much of lighting is there? What sort of a lighting is there? Is there any natural light available? Or is there only artificial light like this? All these things do matter. And how about a water base? Is there any water base in the cabin? Is there something to neutralize the feelings of those who come inside the cabin? Because others' thoughts are going to influence you. If the other person's thoughts are more stronger, it is going to influence you. If my thoughts are more stronger, it will influence you. If your thoughts are more stronger, it will influence me. So where you can get influenced, to what extent you can get influenced, all depends on the levels of consciousness. We cannot listen to everybody. We can hear to everybody. We cannot listen to everybody. So whom to listen, to what extent to listen, whom to hear, to what extent to hear, all these things come from the consciousness. And it depends, and it has an effect on your decisions. So who comes inside, what he talks, to what extent he talks, what is the vibe between you and him, all these things. If it is negative, is there any protective aspect inside the cabin which can filter it? The same thing in work spots. How well the work spots can be maintained. In fact, at work spots, it may be huge, it may be large, but still we may have sunlight. There we can have some water base. How to have it, where to have it. All these things will influence your decision-making power and the levels of consciousness which you have got. There are certain things which cannot be controlled, that we leave it off. We don't talk about it. There may be certain things which cannot be controlled. But what can be controlled, what is within the control of humans, where the Lord has given the human a chance, a right to correct something, to correct an anomaly, that can be corrected. So one has to remember all these things. All these things have an effect. And similarly, at home, what happens that day, how well we leave to the office, to the work spot, to our business place. Before that, what things happen at home? And are we able to leave what happens at home itself, without taking it to office? Office is office, but home is home. You cannot bring office to home or home to office. No doubt, nowadays after Corona, work from home, all these things have come and totally changed the balance and the equation of work and life. I'm not talking about some special situations, but otherwise when we sit in the office, when we come back home, whether we are able to leave the office, in the office, and come back home, all these things are there. So one has to go through many things to be conscious. It's not just like, no, you have to, there is a lot of practice and one must be very aware of what is going on. Minimum awareness. I don't say extraordinary awareness to know everything, but some minimum awareness as one has got, whether they have got. Some minimum awareness towards the environment, towards one's own self. Yeah, in the environment there may be certain things, many things which we cannot control, but within us there are certain things which we can keep it under control. So whatever you can do, you can always do. Whatever, keeping the mind very calm is very essential to be conscious. Mind has to be calm, mind has to be absolutely balanced for one to be conscious. It has to be very conscious. So one has to realize the potential of the mind. The potential of the mind, it is both. It's like a knife. If it is in the kitchen, with the person in the kitchen, it is used for cutting vegetables and other things. With a murderer, the same weapon can be used otherwise. So mind is like a knife. How you use it and where it is put to use, by whom, it matters. Yeah. See, a person went to a doctor. He had a lot of stomachache. For 20 years he has been suffering. Went to a doctor. Because people told that this doctor is very good and he solves all stomach aches. So he went to the doctor. The doctor said, please take this medicine for 4 days, thrice a day. Your stomach ache will go off. He was very happy to hear that for the past 20 years he has not come across any physician saying like this. So he said, thank you very much, doctor. What is the fees I have to pay? He paid the fees. And as he was coming out, something struck his mind. He came back to the doctor. Any precautions before taking these medicines? The doctor smiled and said, yes, there is a precaution. You should not think of a monkey before taking the medicine. Anytime he goes near the medicine, he gets only the monkey in the mind. It's very easy to put something into the mind. The mind is already a monkey and the doctor was successful in putting a bigger monkey into the mind. He only thought about monkey, nothing else. So mind becomes very adaptive, especially to anything negative others say than positive what others say. So you must be conscious enough to avoid all negativities in the mind, to be conscious. Any sort of negativity has to be shunned at all costs. If somebody discourages you or disparages you not to do something, and you are convinced that you want to do it, you have to do it and face the consequences. If you are not conscious, of course, failure is also a part of life. We learn. It's an experience. A person who had only success in life and no failure in life has no experience. When one's failure strikes him, he is bogged down totally. He is totally depressed. A person who has faced enough number of failures has more experience in life. He knows everything is a passing cloud. One is a failure, one is a success. He knows very well. Sometimes failures and success, it does come here and there. Everybody has failures. Even very rich people have failures. Probably their ego, they may not admit it. That's a different issue. But everybody goes through that. So keep these things in mind and try to be conscious. This is my advice for all those young entrepreneurs and young businessmen who want to come up in life, succeed in their projects. The first project is your own mind. How you can keep it calm. Some people say you can meditate. Of course, you can meditate. If you are very happy, you can meditate. Meditation doesn't give happiness. Somebody was unhappy and he wanted to meditate. I said, first find out the reason for your unhappiness and solve it. Then go in for meditation. If you are very happy, you can meditate and you can reach greater levels. That is possible. Provided you are already very happy. Understood? Meditation does not give happiness. If you are very happy, you can meditate. Yes. Allow mind to settle down. Buddha was going somewhere in the forest with Ananda. He wanted water. He said, Ananda, can you get me some water? Ananda said, where will I get water? This is forest. I don't think there will be any water here. Unless there is some rivulet nearby. I don't think there is any water, and we have never come inside this forest. No, when we were coming, I think there was some rain on the way. There was some water on the path on which we were coming. Just collect a little bit of water in some coconut shell and bring it. Ananda went there and saw it was very muddy. He came back and said, the water is very muddy. It's not potable. You can't drink it. Then Buddha was talking to Ananda certain other things. After about half an hour, he said, now go and see how the water is. Ananda said, how the water will be? The water will be muddy only. No, you go and see. He went and saw there. He had very clear water and he got it in a coconut shell. Buddha asked, how is it, Ananda? You have no doubt. He said, I think in this half an hour of time you were talking, the mud settled down and the crystallized water was there. I could get it. Buddha laughed and said, that is mind. Allow the mind, just remain calm. It will settle down. So with an agitated mind, never take a decision. It will not enable. An agitated mind is an unconscious mind. You are not conscious, you are unconscious. With an agitated mind, one should never take a decision. If your mind is agitated, just allow it. Just let it go through agitation. Let it calm down. Let it take its own time. No problem. Don't try to force the mind, because mind doesn't accept any force. Allow it to settle down. It will settle down after some time. Once the agitation is over, the mind will be more clear, more conscious. So never take a decision with an agitated mind. It's very unconscious mind, so the decision may go wrong. It may not be a honest decision. Somebody was asking me, what is a honest decision? A honest decision is a decision which you take with a conscious mind, with a very clear mind, with a very calm mind. That is a honest decision which is taken with a conscious mind. It's a honest decision. Any honest decision in the long run will be a right decision. Any dishonest decision in the long run will be a wrong decision. Sometimes people out of their own mood or something like that, people on the side just going on telling them that you can make it this, that, they go in for very big projections which they cannot meet. Sometimes the projections are so high, but they give a very rosy picture that this will be there, that will be there, you will achieve this, that, so many things. And people invest a lot of money in such projects, only to realize that it was a dishonest decision in the long run. Of course, projections have to be realistic. It is an uncertain future. The future is uncertain. Anything can happen. Who thought in 2019 we are going to have Corona? Of course, we defeated Corona. We came out of it. It was an experience to many people. Now we are limping back to normalcy. So how about the projections people would have made in 2018, 2019? It would all gone to dogs. It's uncertain. Life is uncertain. Anything can happen at any point of time. So there is no safety catch. There is nothing like a safety valve. So it is risky. In such a very risky life, to make projections is also risky. At best, we can make some reasonable projections. That also should be with a honest, conscious mind, not with a dishonest mind, just because somebody is saying you can't do it. Be realistic. Accept that life is uncertain and move on. But you must be very courageous to accept that. Courage is also an aspect of a conscious mind. A very conscious mind is always very courageous. It knows very well. Finally, it's all one and the same. All roads lead to Rome. So God bless you all. Nice that I had a day with you. Thank you. See you some other day.